They want you to stay out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anybody else in the house?
No.
Cette mère est rentrée chez elle pour voir son pire cauchemar se réaliser. Son mari avait été brutalement assassiné dans leur maison.
Okay, honey.
Au début, elle a cru que quelqu'un s'était introduit dans la maison. Mais elle a vite découvert qu'il ne s'agissait pas d'un cambriolage raté. La vérité était bien plus choquante. Le meurtrier n'était autre que l'un de ses propres enfants.
Listen, we'll figure it out, man. We'll figure it out.
I can't figure it out. He's dead. He's dead.
Some sick thing in my mind clicked and made me want to kill him.
Dans la nuit du 21 novembre 2023, Théodore travaillait à son bureau chez lui lorsqu'il fut soudain frappé par derrière avec une batte de baseball. Un coup puissant à la tête qui le projeta au sol, grièvement blessé et désorienté. Alors que Théodore gisait sans défense, son agresseur continua à le frapper à plusieurs reprises à la tête. Dans un dernier acte de brutalité, l'assaillant poignarda Théodore plusieurs fois au niveau du cou, le laissant mourir d'hémorragie des suites de ses blessures horribles. Le lendemain matin, la police reçut un appel paniqué de l'épouse de Théodore, qui venait de découvrir le corps sans vie de son mari. Les agents se précipitèrent sur les lieux, sans se douter de l'horreur qui les y attendait.
Come here. Let me see your hands. Come here. What's going on? Get on the ground.
Dad is dead.
Get on the ground. Both of you on the ground. On the ground.
I don't have a weapon, I don't have anything really, my phone's too good.
All right, Scott. Till we get to figure out what's going on these.
Hands behind your back. Keep them there, don't move them. Hands behind, both of you, hands behind your back.
You got him? Scott, let's go inside.
Bring hands
What happened?
My mom called me. I'm at work saying my dad is dead. I come upstairs. There's blood on the wall. He's fucking keys in his room. I can't even go to work.
Okay.
I got him secured over here.
Where's he at?
Dans la maison, Théodore gisait sans vie dans une mare de son propre sang. Son visage et son corps étaient brutalement défigurés et du sang était éclaboussé dans les couloirs et sur le sol. Dès que les agents entrèrent, ils comprirent qu'il s'agissait d'un meurtre d'une sauvagerie extrême.
Hey, RJ. I'm just gonna advise you of your rights because I still don't know what happened.
La police n'avait pas encore pu déterminer si un membre de la famille était impliqué, mais RJ insistait à plusieurs reprises sur le fait qu'il n'avait pas tué son père. Ce démenti, en soi, éveilla des soupçons, et les agents le remarquèrent immédiatement.
What happened?
Okay, so I heard a scuffle in the middle of the night, and I would usually smoke cigarettes in the garage.
Okay.
Listen to music at a certain volume.
Okay.
Long story short, I found my dad when my mom comes home.
Okay. Who moved the body? Because the body's clearly been moved. Was that you?
I didn't move it. My mom.
Were you-
My mom may have went up there.
Your mom is not moving that body.
I'm saying. Oh, you're saying.
Who was here last night in the house? Just you and your dad?
Yeah, and I think someone broke
Where
in
was
and
he
murdered.
at?
L'histoire de RJ ne semble pas logique, et les agents le sentent. Il ne dit pas toute la vérité. Son récit est rempli de contradictions, et son comportement est anormalement calme, surtout en comparaison de son frère Ben, inconsolable sous l'intensité de son chagrin.
Called me last night at 12.
Who did?
My dad.
Okay.
Do you
speak to him?
I couldn't answer it. I was asleep. I just
like him?
called me this morning.
Yeah.
Last time I talked to him, we were getting ready for Thanksgiving. He was at my house and we were getting ready for Thanksgiving.
I'm really sorry for your loss, man.
There should be fucking condolences.
Here, I'm gonna put these in your pocket, all right, man?
He said it was. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
put 'em right there. Was your mom here last night? Or was just
No.
him? Just him and your dad?
Yes.
Okay.
Ben semble être en état de choc, mais une chose est absolument claire. Il soupçonne que son propre frère est responsable du meurtre. Cela pourrait facilement passer inaperçu, mais après que Ben a dit à l'agent que RJ et Théodore étaient les seuls dans la maison la nuit précédente, il a murmuré à voix basse « Ce salaud ».
RJ, we're gonna get up, alright? You just bring your knee in. I'll roll you up.
Dad, there's going to be no. So the only thing that you guys are going to do is basically confirm it's gunshot wound to the head. Pretty suspicious, pretty shady. What's going on? So we probably only needed the squad. The engine will probably clear, and then. But I'm going to wait for the detectives to go up first
Because we can't just disturb this crime scene.
Well, there's already been disturbed. Someone moved the body.
Is it obvious that he's dead?
Yeah, so 100%.
What do you on that?
Yeah, he's been sitting there for a while. He's cold.
only there?
So two.
Fireman in?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay, good.
He's clearly dead. The body's clearly the dad. Body's clearly been moved. Whatever happened in the hallway. Body's in the bedroom. Mom says she found the body. RJ's in custody right there. Son and mom both say RJ was here with him alone. RJ's claims. So I briefly Mirandized him. I just said what happened. He says there was a scuffle last night. He thinks someone broke in the house and murdered his father. So
All right.
that's where we're at.
Pendant que certains enquêteurs s'occupaient de traiter la scène de crime et de collecter des preuves, d'autres agents continuaient à reconstituer une chronologie basée sur les déclarations de chaque membre de la famille. Au cours de ce processus, la police allait bientôt découvrir un élément de preuve crucial qui viendrait immédiatement soulever de sérieux doutes quant à la version des faits donnée par l'un des fils.
I just got a quick timeline from her.
Okay.
She went to her daughter Claire's yesterday in the morning. Stayed with her daughter all yesterday, doing holiday stuff. Stayed at her daughter's last night. Came home at 10 o'clock this morning. She said, "Why'd you come home?" Well, RJ called me saying he needed cigarettes.
Yeah.
I said, "Did he say anything happened?"
So
I said, "Okay, so how did you find out when you got here?" She's like, "Well, I first came here, went to my bedroom, and then I went upstairs, and that's what I found."
yeah.
I said, "Okay." And RJ, when you got here, RJ never said anything to you about what happened upstairs.
No, I briefly talked to RJ. I Mirandized him because he's in custody. I briefly Mirandized him. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Somebody broke in the house and murdered my dad." So, he clearly, I don't know where the gun is.
It's upstairs.
I don't think that's it. It might be.
And I guess
'Cause I didn't
when
touch it either.
She called this son
Yeah, I don't
after
think
she found him.
I don't think he's related.
No, after she found him, that's when she called him, the younger son. So, as far as my understanding goes, whenever anything happened, it was just RJ and his dad.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing I've gotten from. Who was the other guy? That's the other brother.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So the same thing is that RJ and his dad were home alone all night.
Sur la base de toutes les informations qu'ils avaient recueillies, les agents décidèrent d'emmener Annie, Ben et RJ pour les interroger. Il était clair que RJ était le plus suspect d'entre eux et était donc considéré comme le principal suspect. Les agents ne croyaient pas qu'Annie ou Ben aient été impliqués dans le crime, mais leurs doutes concernant RJ ne cessaient de grandir. En réalité, beaucoup d'entre eux connaissaient déjà RJ, car ce n'était pas la première fois que la police était appelée au domicile des Julia, en raison de conflits persistants entre le père et le fils. RJ était connu pour ses antécédents de violence et les agents ne pouvaient se défaire de l'impression que quelque chose de plus sombre se jouait en coulisses. Un agent en particulier se souvenait d'une conversation troublante qu'il avait eue avec Théodore lors d'une visite précédente. Une conversation qui lui donnait encore des frissons chaque fois qu'il y repensait.
Shit, don't like you, loser, all this shit. Now he's like completely different person. Right? I just think that means something here.
I was looking at him. He has like a 1,000-mile stare right when he was sitting on the ground.
You know, it sucks.
But that guy
It's
said,
like, literally, I don't even know if I actually said it, but I thought it.
Huh.
I might have said it to his dad, like, he's gonna kill you. Like,
when last time we were here,
yeah.
2 semaines plus tôt, les agents avaient été appelés à la même maison, après avoir reçu des signalements indiquant que RJ se comportait de manière agressive et menaçait des membres de sa famille. Cet incident renforça encore davantage les soupçons des agents quant au fait que RJ était responsable du meurtre de Théodore. Sur cette base, RJ fut arrêté pour meurtre et conduit au poste de police de Solon pour être interrogé. L'objectif des agents était clair, le confronter, le pousser à avouer et découvrir le motif qui aurait pu le pousser à tuer son père. Ce que RJ allait révéler au cours de cet entretien compterait parmi les choses les plus choquantes que les enquêteurs aient jamais entendues.
Makes me sick inside. I'll never forget. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know how. There wasn't much motive.
I struck him. He was sitting down, and I was gonna hit him from behind because I didn't want to go too far. I just wanted to end fast. And I decided in my mind I was gonna do it. I hit him a couple times in the arm and broke his arm, hurt his arm. And I didn't want him to just stagger off and call the police, and it was more of the same. I said, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. And I started swinging the bat, and I knocked him to the ground. And right there where all that blood was, I hit him and knocked him cold. And I just tried to kill him from that point. He was struggling, I took a knife and just tried to slit his throat because I didn't want him to feel any more pain. And I had gone too far. And I don't know how I didn't take my life seeing my dad like that. For no freaking reason, man. It wasn't over anything like that. There's some sick snap in my brain said I'm gonna kill my dad.
What started all this?
So kind of just fixation with like, it's not even a fixation. Like I decided split second I'm gonna kill my dad. And I'm gonna grab this baseball bat and I'm just gonna do it. And I don't know why. I don't know. It's just I don't know. Like I was possessed. He was literally sitting down and I started striking. I started hitting him and he said, "I love you, man." And it was his arm was all smashed up. It was too much. So I said, you know what, finish it, get it over with. I'm not gonna let him suffer like that and get called the police. And I never killed anybody in my life, so I had no idea how hard it was to actually kill him.
Okay.
And like I said, I grabbed a knife from his desk, stabbed him in the throat.
Okay.
I don't think you know how much this feels like the right thing to do. Man.
It is the right thing to do. Thank you for speaking with us and clarifying all of this for me.
Il est extrêmement horrifiant que le fils qui affirmait aimer son père plus que quiconque ait fini par être son meurtrier. Mais au moins, RJ a choisi d'être honnête, admettant ses actes et exprimant des remords pour ce qu'il avait fait. Par la suite, RJ a plaidé coupable d'homicide involontaire, d'agression aggravée et de crimes commis contre un corps humain. Il a été condamné à une peine maximale de 25 ans à l'établissement correctionnel de Lorrain, où il est actuellement détenu.